Hey, welcome everybody. As you're coming on, give me a shout out. Where are you in the world this afternoon, this morning, this evening? We're doing going live on both Periscope and Facebook Live simultaneously. So, good morning. I'd like to give a big shout out to all the replay viewers. I know some of you guys watch this later, after it's no longer live. So I'd like to give you guys a shout out. Hey, Shelly. Aw, thank you, Leslie. Virginia Beach, wow. Love to know where you guys are coming in from. It's a little bit overcast here in Tampa this morning. I do. Angela is asking the question about how I'm live on both platforms at the same time. And I have two devices. Hey, Brenda. I have my Facebook live on my iPad and Periscope on my iPhone. New Mexico, Shreveport, Zimbabwe. Wow, that's awesome. Deb from Michigan, Megan from Myrtle Beach. I'm so glad you guys are with me. Thank you guys for joining. How do I avoid the trolls? It's funny because I don't get many trolls on Facebook. It's really kind of interesting. Oh, thank you, Conrad. Thank you. Yeah, well, it's so funny. I'm going to come back to the troll question just in just a second, but somebody on Facebook Live said, oh, I love your hair. This is what I call a bad hair day, guys. This is like, I don't want to do anything with it, so I'm just pulling it up. And since I have short hair, this is my version of a ponytail. Not really, but it kind of is. No, Armand, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I'm actually on Periscope and Facebook Live at the same time. So if you're over on Periscope, you'll see me there. If you're on Facebook Live, you'll see me there. So the question was, before we get started on the content, is how do you avoid trolls? So I don't see as many trolls over on Facebook, which I don't know why that is necessarily. I could speculate. But honestly, I just ignore them. I make fun of them, whatever. I just tell them to go back to their basements. So I don't know if that's appropriate or, but I don't let them bother me. And if they do bother me, if they say something that they're bothering, or if they're bothering other people in particular, if other people are offended, then I just block them. But usually once you call them out and you start making fun of them, they like to be bullies, but they don't like other people to shine the light on them, right? So it is so rude. I agree. A troll is someone who will come on your live broadcast and, try to, say nasty things, try to, get you to do inappropriate things, etc. Whatever. I just tell them, oh yeah, sure. I'm going to jump right on that. Yep. All about that. Okay, guys. So have you guys ever wondered what social media platforms you should be on and where your focus should be as it relates to your business? Or do you feel overwhelmed with what you're doing right now? Do you feel like you're like, and this is the latest things that I fall into this as well. So I can't tell you how many people have been after me about Snapchat. About a month ago, I got a tweet from Gary Vaynerchuk. And many of you guys may know Gary, but, it's like when Gary talks, like, should I listen? Like, maybe I need to pay attention. So he's like, Kim, are you on Snapchat? You need to be there. And I'm like, okay, do I have to be there? So I played with it a little bit, and I think it's a phenomenal platform, but it's like one more thing, right? It's like, how many of you guys feel like it's just one more thing? Even when Periscope came along, I was like, this is just one more thing. Interestingly enough, though, I have turned Periscope into a time saver for me versus in Facebook Live, because I'm using the same block of time now to talk to you guys in real time and engage with you, and that's amazing to me. So, and then I take that content and I turn it into content for my other social platforms. So I've actually leveraged live video to save me time. But other platforms worry me a little. I'm like, it's one more thing. How am I going to do one more thing? Anchor? What? Do I have to be on Anchor too? So, you know, I get it. I am with you. I totally understand how tough it is to be all places. And the reality is that if you're trying to do it all and you are overwhelmed, then you probably aren't doing any of them well, right? So the first thing I want to talk to you about, and the first tip is, what kind of time and what kind of resources do you have? And I can't answer that for you. You have to figure this out for yourself. So, for example, and one of the reasons I've been so proactive about live video is because it's a time saver, and it builds that know, like, and trust factor so much faster. But we all need to figure out what our time and resources are. Are you getting results on, if you're on Facebook, for example? So those of you who are watching on Facebook, you're probably like, well, obviously I'm on Facebook because I'm here. But are you leveraging it for your business, and are you getting results leveraging it for your business? You know, my kind of rule of thumb is, you know, what kind of business do you have? And then where, you know, we're going to talk about this in a minute, but where is your ideal customer? But to go back to Facebook, you know, so many people start there. I did. How many of you guys started on Facebook? I'm just curious. Just pop in, I did, or yes. I'm just curious as if you started on Facebook. Yeah, most people do. So a lot of yeses on Periscope. Laurie says yes. Rose says yes. Deb says yep. Yep, a lot of us do. I mean, I did, and I was one of those people, honestly, who said I would never have a Facebook page. I mean, a Facebook account. So, yeah, that was a while back, but, you know, I was kind of young and dumb then. But yet, so many times we get so spread out that we can't even leverage that first platform for our businesses in a way that actually is going to make an impact, right? Do you feel like sometimes you're like on Facebook and you're like, I'm not sure am I making any money on Facebook? And yet you're like, I got to go Snapchat. I got to go do this, or I got to go do that. You feel like that way too? I mean, is that a problem? Same here. Yeah. So I would just encourage you to figure out how much time you have. And then if you just leverage that one block of time, if it's an hour a day, can you effectively manage 6 social media platforms in an hour a day? No, you really can't. I mean, you might post something on 6 platforms in an hour, but you can't talk to people. You can't engage with people. You know, that's one of the reasons that Periscope is so great, or Blab, or some of the others where, you know, you can actually engage in that block of time. And it's hard if you don't have time and resources. So whether it's your time or whether it's a resource that you pay for, you have to have some time, and you have to figure out how much time you have. And then is that time well spent to where you're actually getting a result? So you do need, thank you so much for saying that, Taya. You need to factor in the time for relationship building. Yes, you do. And so many people just use it as a broadcast system. They're like, oh, let me put my stuff out there. Let me put it on social media. Let me put it on Twitter. Let me put it on Facebook. Let me put it on Instagram. And then they never go back and actually engage with people when they say stuff in response or comment on their stuff. And that's such a disconnect. You know, sometimes you don't need to respond to every little comment simply because it doesn't dictate, that comment doesn't really need a response. So good morning. So for example, if somebody says, thank you, this was a great post, then what are you going to say? Thank you for the thank you. You know, in some cases, not every comment dictates a response, but there's lots of times that there's questions and there's people sharing stories and people sharing, you know, things that need a response, you know, that you shouldn't ignore. It's like people are talking to you and, you know, you're just turning your back on them. So that's Armin, yes, I'm on both. I told you I was on both. And I think that is, again, it goes back to that. What do you have time for? And if you're not doing this one thing well, then you're probably not getting the results that you want from social media. And so I would really encourage you to slow down and figure out how much time you have. And are you actually getting a result with the time that you're spending? It's amazing to me that social media is the one marketing medium that people go at it with no plan. They just like, Oh, everybody says I gotta be on social media. I'm there. Yay, I'm feeling good about myself. I've got a profile on Twitter. I've got one on Instagram. I just signed up for Snapchat. I'm good. And then, it's like a check mark. You've done it. And then you really realize that, wow, I'm just so overextended. I'm stinking this whole thing up. And I don't have a content plan. I don't have an engagement plan. I don't have time for all this stuff. And then it becomes, I'm pulling my hair out. Feel familiar? David, feel free to hit that unsubscribe button at the bottom of any email we send you. We definitely don't want to send you an email if you're not interested in our content. So feel free to do that. Also, if you're on Facebook Live, just real quick, I'll take a breather here because I see so many people asking about certain things. But if you're on Facebook Live, hit the little subscribe button. I think it's up here. So that you'll get notifications. But if you don't want to receive notifications when I go live on Facebook, don't do it. Please don't, because I definitely don't want to show up in your feed if you don't feel like I'm giving you some value. And same on Periscope. If you guys are not following me, I would love to ask for a follow. And if you feel like this is valuable, please feel free to share it as well, guys. I appreciate that. Okay, so the second thing that I want to talk to you about, so going back real quick, let me sum up that first tip, which was time and resources. What kind of time and resources do you have? And the second one, let me just sum that up. Get back to that. I kept skipping ahead. But if you're not getting results or if you're trying to be in all places, and do all things all the time, then you are ultimately going to not do any of it well. So, if it's one platform, or if it's two, or if it's three, or, as you can add on later. Don't add on, though, while you're trying to get some results when you still haven't gotten any results from what you're already doing. So, oh, thank you. That's such a lovely compliment. See, here's a perfect example of a troll. So somebody asked on Facebook, what's a troll? Somebody told me on Periscope that I look ugly as dirt. I'm like, thank you. See how I do that? Thank you. You're not affecting me one little bit, sweetie. I appreciate you. I'm confident in not worrying me a bit. So go back to your basement. Okay, so the second thing I would love for you to start thinking about as it relates to what social platforms you need to be on is, where is your customer avatar? Where is your ideal customer? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? And it depends on your demographic. For example, if you sell jewelry or women's clothing or women's shoes, if you sell women's shoes, I want to know about it. I have a shoe fetish. I love shoes. But seriously, if your demographic is women, you might want to be on Pinterest or Instagram. If your buyers are primarily millennials, then you need to be probably on Snapchat and Instagram for sure, and maybe Pinterest. So I thank you, Barbara. Seriously, it didn't bother me a little bit, not even a little bit. I just laugh at things like that anymore. So those are kind of the things that you have to determine. If you're selling shoes, for example, Twitter might not be a great platform for you. If LinkedIn might not be a great platform. But being where your ideal customer avatar is important. Don't waste your time trying to develop content and engage in places that aren't going to give you a business result. You're not going to connect with your ideal customer or your ideal client on those platforms. That makes sense, right? There you go. Susan sells jewelry. Same thing. Jewelry is exactly kind of like, it's more women probably buy jewelry than men. So are you on Pinterest? Are you sharing your content on Instagram, or even doing some creative things on Snapchat would probably work for you. And I would also like to say that I think most people's ideal client they're absolutely on Facebook. With few exceptions. I've worked with a lot of, different clients over the years, different business models, different types of businesses, different products, and almost without exception, their ideal clients are on Facebook. This girl just doesn't give up. You gotta love her. Now she's telling me they're not bifocals either, sweetie. But anyway, whatever. You know, I mean, this woman probably just needs a life. She needs somebody to love her up because she's persistent. On Facebook, for those of you who are over on Facebook, we have the same troll. Yeah, bless and block. There you go. She has too much time on her hands, and she's obviously, honestly, so many people that do things like this, they hurt people because they're hurt. But you know, it's okay. It's all right. I'm sorry. Honestly, if you are in a place where you are hurting, you know, get some help. Maybe, you know, it's interesting. This is actually a moment, you know, a troll moment. I would bet you that this person is struggling in her life in some way, or she wouldn't be, you know, reaching out and smacking other people. That's usually what happens when they are, you know, do things like that. Okay, so just a quick litmus test for those of you who are trying to figure it out and you're active on a social platform. What is your most active social platform? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it Twitter? Where are you the most active? It does, yeah. Facebook. I see a lot of Facebooks. Instagram. Facebook, then Instagram. Wow, I'm seeing almost Facebook and Instagram. No, okay, there are a few Periscopes. Twitter, Instagram, definitely Facebook. Well, the good news is, and that's my, so I see an overwhelming amount of Facebook folks. Some, you know, there's a few others, like, you know, Periscope for sure, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube. I love YouTube, says Official Vina B. Yeah. Yeah, you do, Michael, you do need to scope more for sure. And I've been really trying to encourage entrepreneurs to embrace live video because it's here, guys. It is going to be an amazing medium for us. And, you know, it's not one more thing. If you do it correctly, you can actually save time with live media. But to go to my third point for you is Facebook, and I kind of led in with, I said Facebook is, you know, one of those platforms that I think most people's ideal client or customers are there. And the interesting part about Facebook is the constant innovation. Now, how many of you guys like groan every time Facebook makes a change? In the past, I mean, like maybe not necessarily in the last 6 months, but like before when they would change our Facebook page and they would change the rules and they would change this and they would change that and you'd be like, groan, right? I so get it. It used to irritate us to death. And then we would say, well, hey, they're keeping us in business because now we got to train people on all the changes, right? So it's a constant thing. And the interesting part though lately is I think a lot of their changes are actually really good for us outside of the pay to play model. But some of the things that they're implementing, you know, how many of you guys know, and I'm sure many of you guys do know, that Facebook tried to buy Snapchat, probably a few years back, and I think they offered them $1 billion. Anybody remember that? And it's so funny because I remember saying, I'm like, can you believe that Snapchat turned down $1 billion? Are they out of their minds? And, you know, I said, oh, they're going to regret it. They're going to regret it. I can't believe they didn't do it. And then here we are today where Snapchat is experiencing a reemergence, you know, and a lot of people are really talking about Snapchat right now. And in hindsight, that was probably a really good deal, right? That was a really good decision, not a really good deal, a really good decision on Snapchat's part. But at the time, you know, it was like, wow, that was just a really poor decision on Snapchat's part. Now, the interesting thing is, how many of you guys noticed that, oh, and what's the name of it? Oh, I was going to look for my phone and tell you. They just released a new app. They bought a new app, or whether they bought it or they're partnering with this app that lets you put filters, custom filters on your photos and your videos. Anybody seen that? It's just like the last couple of days. And the interesting part is that that's a Snapchat feature. Y'all think that's pretty cool? So I guess my point is, Facebook is the big boy on the block. And, you know, they're going to continually try to be the big boy on the block. You know, they have over 1 billion users. They own Instagram, so they have that corner marketed, or that market cornered as well. And it's just amazing how many things that they're implementing and putting into play that are going to benefit us as marketers and give us more opportunities. So they're taking a lot of the best features of some of the other platforms, or the things that people have traditionally loved about some of the other platforms, and they've rolled them into Facebook. Some of them have not worked, like hashtags. Didn't really take off on Facebook, right? I mean, you can still use them, but they're not super popular. And yeah, most of the filters are silly over on Snapchat. The neat part about them, about custom filters, in my opinion, is now you can do your own thing. I would much rather do that than have, you know, the ones they present to me. But Facebook is constantly innovating, constantly staying on top of the latest and greatest things. You know, Periscope, well, Meerkat came along for 2 hot weeks, loved their hearts, and then Periscope opened their doors to live video. They're owned by Twitter. And it's obviously been a huge boon, and it's the start of what I think is the future, honestly, of social media, is the live element. That's why Facebook is investing in VR, and you know, they've opened up Facebook Live. How many of you guys have Facebook Live on your fan pages now? I'm really excited about this because most people should have it now. I'm waiting to see who has it. So the Real Boss Mom says she doesn't. Okay, so guys, make sure that you go update your Facebook Live page, your Facebook page app. Make sure you update it. Like, go into your settings and, you know, download the latest version. Now, when you open up your Pages app, because you do have to have the pages, you can't do it from your personal, well, you can do it from your personal profile, but it won't show on your fan page. So you want to make sure that you have the Page app, and that once you go to post, it'll give you there's a little live option all the way. It's like the 4th little option over if you have it. Not everybody has it yet, but a lot of people do. Yes, Instagram is playing with a video idea. Yes. And why? I mean, they're owned by Facebook, and they get how impactful the live video is. You know, Periscope has been leading the forefront on, you know, the connection and the live video stream. Now it's integrated over on in our Twitter feeds. But, you know, and like right now I'm on both platforms simultaneously. So I've got a community on Facebook watching, and I've got, you know, folks over on Periscope watching as well. So Instagram, I think, will be another one. We know YouTube is right on the heels of having the live video, and I think it's going to be even bigger than that. So we're going to have 360 live video. So really interesting time that we're living in as it relates to social media. I would say that somebody said they were having trouble with it cutting in and out. It's probably your internet connection. All right. So yeah, and it's not on Android either. That's another thing. I keep telling people, and I know that there's a lot of Android phones that are better in so many aspects, especially from a camera aspect than an iPhone. But almost always, the new stuff rolls out to iOS users before it does Android users, which is kind of stinky. So the three things again, guys, is time and resources. What kind of time do you have to devote to your social media presences? That, in my opinion, is the number one thing that you need to decide before you figure out where you're going to be active. And then, no, I'm not bashing Androids. I am saying, I'm just making a point. Absolutely, Michael, not bashing Androids. Because like I said, I know that they have a lot of great features, especially cameras. I mean, that's my knowledge base, is I know their cameras are a lot better than the iPhones. I'm just saying that almost always, pretty much for any type of technological app update, it almost always rolls out to an iOS user first. So definitely not bashing Android users. Hope it didn't come out that way. Didn't mean to do it if I did. Cameras are amazing. Love them. Love them. And I think honestly, they're also in the 360 space. They're gonna absolutely be in the 360 space, in my opinion. Well, we already know that they will be before the iPhones will be. So yeah. Second one was audience. Where is your ideal customer, your ideal avatar? I call them customer avatars. The people that would buy from you, where are they? If you're selling jewelry, or you might want to be on Pinterest or Instagram. If you're, more business focused, content driven, you need to be on Twitter. Twitter is the best traffic source I've ever seen in my life, and I've tried pretty much every paid media to free media out there, and I've never seen a better traffic source than Twitter. And then, of course, where are your peeps? I would highly recommend that Facebook be a part of your places to be, simply because almost everybody, and you guys proved it to me by sharing where you're most active. Probably Facebook is integrated or is implementing and innovating a lot faster because they have more money in most cases than a lot of the other platforms. And they're also pulling in a lot of the features from a lot of the other platforms as well. Hey, Gracie, or Ruth, Gracie Ruth. I met Gracie Ruth at Shalene Johnson's event. She's the sweetest little thing. Loved her. So glad I got to meet you, Gracie. So Facebook ads are incredibly powerful, absolutely. In fact, I'm going to be starting to try to educate you guys a little bit more and take away the fear factor as it relates to Facebook ads, because we've just had such great results with our Facebook ads. In fact, guys, we have an amazing, I actually have this laying here from last week, but we have an amazing Jumpstart guide, a Facebook Jumpstart guide. So it's bit.ly/FB ad Jumpstart. If you guys want to go grab it, it's a great resource. It's a great place to start. So it's bit.ly/FB ad Jumpstart. For those of you who would like to take a screenshot real quick. Always don't want to take the time to type it in, but there you go. So find out where your peeps are. I would challenge you to think that they are on Facebook, because almost all business owners that I've ever encountered, with rare exception, will find their ideal customer on Facebook. All right, guys. Anybody have any quick questions? How do I get my fan page newsfeed on my mobile using the Facebook mobile app? You have to do you have to have the Pages app to do that. So your Facebook fan page, I mean, you can click on inside of the actual regular app, and you can click on your fan page. I have mine in my favorites, so it shows up in the sidebar on my Facebook page, or you can click to go there. But I recommend the Page app. It's really awesome. Thank you, Holly. Absolutely. Great question. Somebody just asked me, do you recommend getting 1 or 2 platforms going well before you try to do them all? Yes. Hallelujah. What a great question. Yes, 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 yes. So if you want to start on Facebook and Instagram, then figure out your strategies and, how much time and resources you can put into those two platforms. And then, do those well. Start getting some results before you try to take on, Anchor and Snapchat and every other thing out there. Yes, the Twitter, yeah, I knew that was coming. The Twitter is upping their character count. I actually had a conversation when I was at Twitter's headquarters a few months ago, and I don't think it's going to make a big deal or make a big difference for us, because the way they explained it to me, and it made sense, is that they have analyzed a lot of social media posts, whether they're on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or wherever, and most people don't post more than 1 to 2 sentences. Even if they can, they don't. So I don't think it's going to make a big deal. Should you merge your Facebook business page and your fan page? They're one and the same. So a lot of people say fan page, they say business page, they're the same thing. All right. So Facebook Live, folks, you got any questions? Thank you, Stacy. So Kim is saying, I use the content buckets in your course and I've increased followers but very little sales. Well, if you're increasing followers and you've got more engagement, that's the first piece. You have to have that. And then how are you trying to convert them to a sale? You can't just assume that people are going to bump into your stuff and say, oh, I'm going to buy that. You have to actually ask for the sale. The interesting oh, goodness. What is it today? We've got some more trolls. I'm just going to get rid of that one. One of the problems that people are struggling with as it relates to actually creating an ROI on social media is a biggie. They forget to ask for the sale. They don't have a system in place for the sale. They just assume people are going to randomly, bump into their sales page, or, they're going to see it on their social platforms. So you definitely want to make sure that you're asking for the sale, or you're going to struggle and you're going to go broke. Don't do that. I don't want that for you. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I appreciate you. Honor your time, and it's valuable to me. So don't forget, if you want to grab this Facebook Ads Jumpstart Guide, definitely go grab that. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you again. Take care. God bless.